Next, I'm gonna explain about vowels and the shape of the resonance cavity. But first, let me introduce myself. My name is Kristabella Marsha Panjaitan with my last student number 157. Here I'm gonna talk about two types of vowels. The first one is monophthongs and the second one is diphthongs. Monophthongs is a vowel composed of one sound. Diphthongs is a vowel composed of two sounds. There are 12 monophthongs. The first one is E, pronounced like it, people. Next is A, pronounced like since, business, since, business. Next is A, pronounced like eight, faith, eight, faith. The next one is A, pronounced as ready and says, ready, says. The next one is A, pronounced like attic, bang, attic, bang. The next one is U, pronounced like moon and flu. The next one is O, pronounced like stood and cook. The next one is O, pronounced like under and blood, under and blood. The next one is O, pronounced like old and blow. The next one is O, pronounced like always, song, always, song. The next one is O, pronounced like hot and knock. And the last one is pronounced like about and alone. The next, we have diphthongs. There are 3 diphthongs. The first one is I, pronounced like fight and my. And then ow, pronounced like how and cow. And the last one is oi, pronounced like voice and oil. But there are homophones. Homophones are words that sound the same but differ in meaning and spelling. And the example is cat and calf, both pronounced as cat.
Hello everyone, my name is Vidya Sifatmarani and I'm going to explain to you about the vowels and its production. Vowel, in human speech, sound in which the flow of air from the lungs passes through the mouth with minimal obstruction and without audible friction. A main mechanism of vowel production is vibrating vocal cords. Sometimes, vowel may be pronounced without such vibration, resulting in a voiceless or whisper sound. These come in some languages as a regular part of their sound systems. Factors involved in vowel production is, first, resonant chamber use, and the second one is resonant chamber shape. Resonant chamber use can be oral cavity, nasal cavity, or both the oral and nasal cavities. Oral vowels occur when the phylum is raised, cutting off the entry of the airstream into the nasal cavity. Nasalized vowels are created when the phylum lowers, permitting the airstream to flow through both oral and nasal cavities. For example is the use of I in sit and sim. I in sim indicates the nasalization. Resonant chamber shape are affected by tongue age, tongue advancement, and lip roundedness. First is age. Age refers to how high or low the tongue in the mouth when producing vowels, considered as high, middle, and low. For example is I is a high vowel, A is a low vowel. Second is tongue advancement. This is refers to how far front or back the tongue when producing vowels. There are front, central, and back. For example, I is a high vowel, but it is also a front vowel. U is a back vowel. The third is roundedness. Roundedness is when the lips are rounded or not when producing vowel. For example, the words I, you can feel it that your lips is not rounded at all. The words you can feel it when you say you, your lips is rounded. Supersegmentals or prosodic features are characteristic of speech that can distinguish words, phrases, or sentences that are otherwise identical in their phonetic segments. A phonetic segment or phone itself is a speech sound that is perceived as an individual and unique sound, different from other sound. Supersegmentals are associated with stretches of speech larger than an individual phonetic segment. The International Phonetic Alphabet. Language can be in phrases. The same letter can represent different sounds. Conversely, the same sound can be represented by different letters or combination of letters. To overcome this problem, an organization founded in France in 1886 devised an alphabet that would eliminate inconsistencies of spelling. The main principle of the system is one symbol represents only one sound, and each individual sound is represented by only one symbol. Diacritic marks are symbols added to conventional graphic signs and supply additional information. They can be added above, below, or after the conventional symbol. Another symbols are Roman symbols that have been changed in some way, such as written backward or upside down, and the other one is Greek symbol. Some symbols were simply created anew.
Hello, let me introduce myself. My name is Zulafa Bulan Sarohita with the student number 1221112333166. The phonetic environment. The description of the sound we have discussed is highly idealized. The reproduction of each sound will be affected by adjacent sounds. The effect of one sound on another is not limited to place of articulation, but also applies to such factors as nasality. For instance, as already mentioned, nasal consonants have an effect upon adjacent vowels. The lowering of the velum during the production of the nasal consonant allows for the surrounding vowels to be somewhat nasalized. The effect of place of articulation and the nasalization of vowels are only two instances of how phonetic environment of a sound influences its production. Generally speaking, adjacent sound will always have some effect on each other. We will explore in this more detail in the next chapter. Part of our understanding of our own language is a subconscious knowledge or competence of how one sound affects other.
Hello everyone, my name is Nafia Fitri Begugul MDRI. My student number is 1221112333167. Now I'm here talking about difference in stress. Stress means to make emphatic or more prominent. Difference in stress, the word stress as used in linguistics mean the same thing as one general use of the word. To make emphatic or more prominent. Syllables seem to be a small speech unit that can contain stress in some language. The stress pattern is completely predictable and invariable. For instance, in Finnish and Hungarian, stress is always applied to the first syllable of a word. In French and the Mayan language of Mexico, words are automatically stressed on the final syllable. However, in Polish and the African language Swahili, the next to last syllable of a word is always the one stressed in other language. The stress pattern is a variable and unpredictable. The English speaker intuitively recognizes at least three possible levels of stress: primary, also called external or main stress; secondary; and unstressed. An unstressed syllable is often not marked with diacritic. The stress pattern of a word can have grammatical significance. For example, to change of stress from the first syllable in the word subject to the second change the word's part of speech. Sample subject is a noun. The subject of this discussion was commas. Subject is a verb. He will subject us all to that talk again.
Hello, my name is Arzeti and my student number is 122 111 233 So I'm gonna explain about duration or length in phonetics. In phonetics, length or quantity is a feature of sounds that have distinctly extended duration compared with other sounds. There are long vowels as well as long consonants. The latter are often called changes. Many languages do not have distinct lengths. Among the languages that have distinct lengths, there are only a few that have both distinctive vowel lengths and distinctive consonant lengths. It's only common that there is only one or that depend on each other. The language that distinguishes between different lengths is usually long and short sounds. The mixed languages are widely considered to have three distinctive levels of vowel lengths. The first one is Low German and Low Saxon varieties in the vicinity of Hamburg, and the second is some Mosel Franconian, and the third is Ligurian Franconian varieties. Strictly speaking, a pair of a long sound and a short sound should be identical except for their lengths. In certain languages, however, there are a pair of phonemes that generally considered to be long short words, even though they differ not only in length but also in quality. For instance, like English, long E, which is E as in short short P, which is as in or German long E, which is as in bed, garden bed, short A, which is A as in bed, sleeping bed. Also, tonal contour may reinforce the length, as in Estonian, where the overlong length is concomitant with the tonal variation resembling tonal stress marking. So next, I'm gonna explain about difference in pitch. Pitch is the relative lightness or lowness a tone of a perceived by the ear, which depends on the number of vibrations per second produced by the vocal cords. It's in a main acoustic correlate of tone and intonation. Pitch range. In addition to the modal pitch, every individual voice has a pitch range which can be achieved by adjustment of the vocal cords. By tightening the vocal cords, a person can raise the pitch of the voice by losing them. One can lower vocal pitch when the vocal cords are straight. The pitch of voice increase. Pitch variation in speech are realized by the alteration in the tension of vocal cords. This adjustment allows speaker to use pitch change to achieve certain meaningful effects in speech. There are three parts of the pitch range: low, mid, and high pitch. The pitch movement and change depending on the sentence is complete or not, or if it's a yes or no question, a question or answer statement. High pitch range indicate an informational contrast as shown in example. Because high pitch range implies a contrast even when one is not explicitly present in the discourse. It can be used to single out individual words for special attention as in the example. First one is, I'm going to Harvard, not Yale. And the second example is, where were you last night? It's like an angry father to a doctor. Rather than a high rise so-called with a question beginning with who, where, when, why, which, and how. Tone asks for information that is unknown to complete an interaction, typically an insight, but following text as in, who is that? Why did he do it? How can I get there? Where is Anne? It seems like that non-native speaker might tend to produce which a question with a rising intonation. On the pattern of yes or no question, so-called tag question may have rising or non-pitch, depending on whether they are really meant to ask question or not. Georgie is really smart, is not he? And then second example, Georgie is not back yet, is he? In a similar case, English speaker may use the expression you know to ask question or not, as shown by the picture. It's in the store on streets, versus like, I like her, Even an utterance in the grammatical form of a yes or no question can become a non-question. A statement, if the pitfall, is not so lovely. Doesn't my baby speak well? In the last two examples, the speaker doesn't ask a question but state a belief, expecting the hearer to have the same opinion.
Syllables and syllabic consonant. Most auto speakers can easily determine how many syllables there are in most words. Linguists have had hard time defining exactly what a syllable is. In general, a syllable consists of a nucleus or peak that can carry information as stress, loudness, and pitch, and the elements associated with that nucleus. In English, liquid and nasal sounds can sometimes act as a syllable or the nucleus of a syllable, and when they do, they are called syllabic consonants. When I, R, M, and N act as a syllabic consonant, they are written with the diacritical mark shown as a small line under the symbol, like this, or with the reduced vowel called schwa, like this. And for example of words that can be pronounced with this syllabic consonant are castle, brother, possum, and satin. Most languages don't have syllabic consonants. Connected speech. Speech is usually continuous, and we can generally process between 10 and 20 speech sounds per second. When we talk, we process a stream of speech that will listen segments into meaningful units, such as words based on that listener's linguistic competence in the language. In this section, we will discuss how the native speaker of a language determines where words boundaries are located. We will also discuss how the speaker packages an utterance by adding, deleting, and combining sounds that make connected speech different than if each word were pronounced separately. Throughout your elementary school career, you probably had spelling tests. Perhaps one of your teachers in elementary school read off words such as dog, big, house, good, toy, and so on. You then wrote those words on a piece of paper. Later, when you used the words in writing sentence, you put a space between them. When you spoke these words, you generally didn't put the space or pause in the sentence. Human speech is for the most part continuous, with true pauses being taken after rather long streams of speech. These pauses are often taken at grammatically significant places, but if speech is generally continuous, then how do we know when one word ends and another one starts? For instance, in the Mohawk utterance, could you guess where one word ends and another starts? This is a trick question because the Mohawk utterance is only one word. One way that this segment continuous speech into meaningful words is by our knowledge of the language. If you were not familiar with Mohawk, you would have no knowledge of Mohawk words and would not be able to use this knowledge as a cue of the boundaries between words. However, if you speak English and you hear a stream of speech, such as you most likely will hear fill a green bucket, not filigree in bucket. Filigree is a word, but an is not a word. A native speaker's linguistic competence would tell him or her that the first word boundary must be after the, not after the. Of course, the context in which the sentence was spoken will also provide information about the meaning of the stream of sound.